My name is Roxanne, and I am the ex-wife of Craig Mack.
And before we get into Craig Mack, I gotta say you did a great job in that Diddy documentary. How did that come about?
Um, I was it's a crazy story, but it's like so typical of a Roxanne thing. I was in Sam's Club with my husband, and we were in there doing some shopping. And I remember it was cold because I had on my big North Face coat, and I had my earplug in, ear pod or whatever, and my phone was in my pocket, and my phone had rang. But by the time I got to my phone, I had missed the call, and looked at it and I seen that it was a phone call from Eric's sermon. And I love Eric. Um, Eric is family. So I called him back. I'm just like, hey, what's good? Everything okay? What's going on? And Eric was like, hey, they doing a Diddy documentary, right? I was like, I heard about it. I was like, I didn't think it was really gonna be happening. And he was like, yeah, it is. And they would like you to be in it. I was like, oh, word? And he was like, yeah. And um, he I was like, oh, I'm scared. He was like, well, I'm gonna be in it too. And I was like, okay, well, I'll do it. I'll do it. And I asked my husband, was it okay? And I spoke with my children, with Craig, to ask them if it was cool with them, and everyone said yes. So I went and did it.
Yeah, the story you told in that documentary, man, was crazy. How did it get that bad between Craig Mack and Diddy? Like, how did it get to that extent?
Craig didn't want to be on Bad Boy anymore. He didn't like the vibe. He didn't like the feel. He was being restricted as far as the direction he wanted to go. I believe Craig wanted to go one direction with his music. Puff wanted him to go a different direction, and Craig wasn't budging. He is a tourist, so tourists just kind of bullheaded. He was just like, no, I want to do it what I want to do. And I don't believe they were able to come to a happy medium. And Craig was disenchanted. We were broke, living show money to show money, and still had bills to pay. And he just he wasn't happy there, you know all the glitz and glamour. It wasn't worth the headache for him at that point. And there were other, little shady things going on that we were finding out about, and he was just like, really, so the $100 thing, and then another thing happened, and he was just tired. you know he was tired of being there. I remember one time Craig had a video to shoot, and the video was making moves with Puff. So that day, Craig had a routine before he went to go do a video. He, would want to go get his hair cut first, and, you know, get that iconic afro tightened up, and he would want to go get new socks. Craig had a thing about fresh white socks. He wanted socks. He went and got some new Timberlands. I believe they were black. Um, he got some black jeans, and he went and got a fresh black t-shirt, just a regular black tee. And, got all his stuff, got showered, and, you know, let's go. And we went down to the video shoot, and it was in the Wall Street area. And
All right, the box just arrived. And honestly, I've been waiting for this one. This is the CSUN V.
it was a nighttime shoot. So we got down there. It was in the evening. Um, and it was shot. I don't know the name of the building, but it's iconic because it had like a statue, like a statue of like George Washington maybe sitting there, and it's has these columns, and it looks real politicky, it's real political looking, and it had the columns and the white steps. So we get there and there are people setting up, pyrotechnics because, and they had a big like jumbotron screen, and it was a lot going on. So, when we got there, Craig's looking around, everyone, hey, Craig speaking. And he goes over to wardrobe and they were like, well, we have some things that you can wear. And Craig was like, he's saying a motorcycle jacket. And he was like, oh man, I like this, because Craig had recently got into motorcycles. Mind you, he bought a motorcycle and didn't know how to ride it. I taught him, but that's a different story. So he sees this motorcycle jacket and he's like, oh man, I love this jacket. And he's like, I'm gonna wear this in the video. So he wore that jacket in the video. And once the video wrapped, Craig was like, I'm gonna take this jacket. So he tells the wardrobe person, like, I'm gonna take this jacket. And they were like, okay, you'll be billed for it. End of story, So fast forward, I don't know how long, you get the invoice for the video shoot. And it's broken down to who was there, this what got to be paid for, this what has to be paid for. It's an itemized list of everything and the cost. Well, one of the things that was on the invoice was the jacket. And it said like $1,000. I don't remember the exact price, but I know it was in the thousands, not 2,000, like in the thousand range. And Craig was like, he didn't pay any attention to it,
Get out of
So
the group chat say.
time goes on. I don't know exactly how long, maybe a month or two. Craig goes down on Jamaica Ave because he has to go get some more Timberlands. And Craig wore Timberlands like people wear house shoes. So it was nothing for him to get a new pair of Timberlands like maybe every 2 weeks. So he went to get these Timberlands. I wasn't with him. And he was down on Jamaica Ave. And he sees the exact motorcycle jacket that he wore in the video hanging up in a window. And he's like, oh. But the jacket was on sale. So he goes in and he inquires, what was the original price of that jacket in the window? They told Craig the jacket was only like $300. And the sales price was $2 something, the low twos. So Craig comes home and I could tell there was something wrong because he would come home and he was loud. Hey, I'm home, something. And I was in the room and he came in with his bags and shit and he plopped down on the bed and I want to say Craig like started smoking a cigarette or something. And he's just like sitting there. And I was like, what's wrong? He said, where's that invoice from that video shoot? I was like, oh, it's on the dresser. And, we had kept a pile of papers on the dresser, bills and just whatever. And I thumbed through it and I found it. And he said, I was like, here it is. He said, find out how much that jacket costs. I said, okay. So I'm looking. I was like, 1,000, whatever. He is like, motherfucker. I said, what's wrong? And that's when he explained to me that he had been down on Jamaica Ave and the jacket had only been $300 at full price and was on sale for $2 something. But the markup on the invoice was at $1,000. So he was pissed. And to be perfectly honest, I don't even know if he said anything about it. But I do very, very, very clearly remember him being extremely upset. So that was one of the things. Well, if they priced me for this, what else have I been overpriced for? And he just was not happy with being in the company that he was in. And, you know, because that's dirty work. For real. So yeah, that was dirty work, you know. He was becoming more and more disenchanted with being a bad boy because he felt like, if you can do this, what else can you do? What else are you upcharging me for? You know, and then when you find out that they charge damn near for the air that you breathe, you know, it becomes a weight, and it was a weight, it was a yoke on him. And he just wasn't happy. He wasn't happy with being there. He wasn't happy with not having freedoms that he wanted to have musically. And you robbing me. Essentially, you're robbing me. And that's where a lot of his hurt came in. And he was just ready to exit stage left. He's like, I don't want to be here anymore.
Appreciate you for clicking on the video. Before you go, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm out.